yes, the sun is amazing for us in so many ways. And I love getting real sunlight in. I love real sun, but I wish I could take back all the years of tanning. It's amazing for vitamin D. Got it. It's amazing for our cortisol. It's amazing for a lot of things, but it's not amazing for our skin.
Today's guest is a globally recognized fat loss expert and high performance coach known for helping women over 40 redefine their health, fitness, and mindset. As a best-selling author, podcast host, and speaker, she empowers individuals to eliminate self-imposed limitations and achieve their goals at any stage of life. With over 3 million social media followers and a thriving brand, Natalie Jill has transformed countless lives through her relatable approach to fitness and her concept of overcoming false assumed truths. Her journey of resilience from overcoming personal and financial challenges to thriving as an entrepreneur serves as a powerful inspiration to women worldwide. Natalie Jill, welcome to the Slayer Day podcast.
Thank you. Can't wait to chat.
Yes. So we are going to jump right in, and you are a globally recognized fat loss expert. And I want to talk about what we can do, what us ladies can do now, let's say maybe in our 30s or 40s, to kind of set ourselves up for success, maybe in the pre-menopause stage or before we even hit that. Like, what can we do to set ourselves up for success?
I love that you're asking this because I'm 53 right now as we're having this conversation. And what I would have answered at 40 is very different than I'm going to answer in my 50s, looking back on this. So I don't know if people can see if they're watching on video or not, but just to kind of share a little background. So in my 40s, I became kind of that fitness expert. I was on a bunch of covers, and fitness was what I got known for. And fitness and nutrition is what I taught. And I would have taught the same concepts that many people already hear. Like, we just got to really work out. We got to make sure we're eating healthy. We got to dial it in. We got to stay mentally focused, like the same basic things. And I honestly thought that was enough until I hit menopause and everything started to change. And what was working all those years that I thought I was setting myself up to age well and do all these great things started to sort of backfire. And I'm going to explain what happened here. So as I started approaching 50, not only did my body start to change, I started to have a lot of different injuries. And I just happened to be teaching a class. So I have these pictures laying here, but first I ruptured a disc in my lower back, like all that in that circle is not supposed to be there. So this happened as someone who thought she was healthy, working out, all the things. I ruptured a disc in my back. Just after that got corrected, I tore my bicep, like literally tore my bicep. Ooh. It was like one of those Popeye arms. Then I broke my foot. I kept getting injured. Like, I started having all these injuries, and it started challenging a lot I knew about working out and aging. And I thought, why in the world am I having these random injuries all of a sudden? Like, what's going on that's creating this? And then you couple that with sort of the aging and the hormone shifts, and my small lean frame gained 17 pounds. Now, you might not have noticed that on social media, or if you saw me in person. And here's actually a picture of me. I was just getting off stage speaking at a mutual one of our friends' events, and no one would have looked at me and said you're overweight or you know that. But for me, this was a lot, and I didn't understand because I was doing all the things I knew to do with workouts and eating well. Well, I show you that picture now because that's no longer me. I've definitely come back. But what I learned is what I'm going to answer your question with right now. What I learned is there's a whole host of things that start to catch up and change in midlife. And if we wait until midlife to address these things and look at them, what happens is we start chalking it up to, it must be my hormones. It must be just menopause. I must accept it. Getting older sucks. Aging sucks. And what I know now to be true is none of that is true. But when we don't address these things early, they compound and they present themselves as that. Is that starting to make sense? How I just kind of went into that? Okay. So here's some of the things that I learned just to really circle back and answer your question. And when I figured these things out, not only did 17 pounds completely just come off, all the inflammation went away. I stopped getting injured. I stopped having pain. A lot of things started to shift. So the first thing that happened was I did what a lot of women start to do in midlife. They think, I'm older, I'm just going to go on hormone replacement. And I did that first. And what I didn't know then is you don't want to go on hormone replacement unless you understand what's going on with your gut health. Your gut health is a huge priority because it's how it metabolizes hormones. It's also how it metabolizes toxins. Your gut is we've all heard it's our second brain, but I didn't fully understand it. I used to think, well, I eat healthy, I work out, I don't have stomach aches, so I must have a healthy gut. I didn't understand that there's a huge correlation with leaky gut and problems with your gut that happens a lot earlier on, that if we do not nip that, that will compound. And as we get older, it'll start presenting as symptoms. For example, almost everyone listening has probably done antibiotics in their life at some point. Maybe it was as a child, maybe it was as a teenager, but we've all done at some point in our lives antibiotics. When you do antibiotics, you're messing up your gut health. So unless you've actively restoring it, we haven't fixed anything. The second thing we've done wrong is in our youth, maybe we're drinking alcohol, we're doing things that are not, we're eating more processed foods. Your gut is getting affected by all that. Yeah. Or if you're like me and you, Sandi, we're thinking, oh, I'll eat an organic salad, I'll eat sushi. We're doing these things that we think is healthier. But when you don't have a strong gut biome and you start adding these things in, what happens is your gut is like a terrain. So if you have picture like a rainforest terrain is what it should be. If you have a not healthy gut, so picture like a desert, and we start trying to put things in there that don't necessarily thrive there, the wrong things will thrive and grow and create a problem.
Everyone is talking about soursop, the tropical superfruit with superpowers. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, listen in. If you suffer from inflammation, digestive issues, low energy, or low immune health, there's nothing else like soursop to help your body feel its best. But the soursop fruit is almost impossible to source in the US. So Soursop Nutrition is on a mission to bring you a selection of expertly formulated supplements that give you the benefits of soursop hassle-free. The Soursop Cell Plus Immunity Gummies are gluten-free, non-GMO, and low-carb, and they're a favorite in my house. We also love their shake boosts, which come in 4 flavors, including 2 delicious fall favorites, pumpkin and apple. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see I love adding the shakes into my smoothies, and we even add them to our bake treats for the kids, and they love baking with me. They're great for gut health, are full of fiber, and help balance blood sugars, making it a natural weight management aid. Who doesn't love that? The shakes are also 0 sugar, low carb, and gluten-free. Place your first order today and enjoy 20% off with code SANDY20 or use the link in the show notes.
So for me, I didn't realize this, but here I'm like getting puffy and not knowing what's going on. I had major gut dysbiosis that had compounded over the years. So everything was changing how my body processed estrogen, how it was processing toxins. And that's when you start hearing things like parasites and dangerous things. So the first part of your question is I would start looking at our gut health and are we being really active in making sure we do have a healthy gut biome? That would be the first thing. Okay. That would be the first thing.
Okay. So how do you know if you have a healthy gut biome?
Yeah.
Like, let's start there. Yeah. How do you know?
Yeah. You almost have to assume you don't, because there's not just one test you can do. Now, I happen to do a GI mapping test. It's actually like a stool test, which showed I had parasites, which is crazy. Like,
I think I remember you posting this.
Yes. Which is completely rare. Like there's so many different types of parasites. For that to actually show up on a test is very, very rare.
Wow.
But mine did. But I would not tell people listening, you have to just go get a test. What I would do is start looking at, am I doing things like eating fermented foods daily? Like fermented foods, even just a tablespoon a day makes a big difference. Am I really truly sticking to an unprocessed natural food diet? Am I avoiding antibiotics to the best that I can? Like I would not just take an antibiotic just because you have a cold or something feels off, like being very strict with that. Are you actively taking probiotics and varying up the strains and really making sure you're being clear about probiotics? And are you paying attention if you ever are feeling bloated or like that's not normal? You're not supposed to have food at dinner and feel bloated. So if that's going on, there's something going on with your enzyme production or your gut health that's already creating an issue right there. Another thing is waking up at 3 a.m. A lot of people think waking up at 3 a.m. is normal. It's not. Usually it's either a cortisol dysregulation or it could be something going on in your gut. So paying attention to that. Also foggy head, tired, not being clear when you're young and you're like, I'm eating all the right things, could be an issue with your gut. So it's a whole host of things, but being really proactive and going, I need to pay attention to this. I need to make sure I'm adding in probiotics. I need to be strict about being careful about antibiotics. being really aware, fermented foods, all of that's going to help seal the gut. That's the first part.
Okay.
Yes.
So a lot of times, when we think we're eating healthy, we really need to start incorporating some of these things like the fermented foods. Give us some examples. There's
Yeah.
yogurt, there's probably kimchi and
Yes.
sauerkraut.
So I have kimchi in my fridge. You can get all different types of flavors. So it depends on what you like. I mean, even a pickle is considered fermented food. It's just not
Oh,
going to be
okay.
the
I'm good to
strongest.
go.
Yeah. Yeah. But eating sauerkraut, kimchi, flavor stuff, I keep it in my fridge. It's routine now with breakfast. I have a tablespoon a day. I'm constantly doing that. Another thing that really helps us seal and heal your gut is bone broth. So being really diligent about bone broth, it's like the purest form of collagen you can get is just sipping on bone broth. I'll sip on it throughout the day like I would a tea or a coffee. I'm just sipping on it to seal your gut. So that, and if you have bloating, gas, all of that, really being aware, like adding digestive enzymes. Can I add digestive enzymes? Because we start after age of 35 producing less enzymes. So we're not breaking down things as efficiently. So being really aware of that, and then really strong probiotics, making sure you're doing that and being aware and paying attention and bringing this up. If you're seeing a naturopath or a functional medicine doctor, say, I really want to make sure I'm looking at my gut. Am I doing everything I can there? And even if you're open to doing a test and looking at your gut health, that's good too, because most people do not have a perfect gut. Like most people will have a dysregulation somewhere where you can start to look and balance. Like one of the really common things is having different bacterial that will affect your estrogen differently. So you could think you're estrogen dominant or have things going on, but it really could be what's going on in your gut health. Wow. So simple things there. And then part two of that is when this is a whole nother level, but when I learned that I had parasites and how to get rid of that and change that, my coach around that said to me, Natalie, something's feeding the parasites. You don't just get them. Like they don't just happen. Like you and Sandi could eat the same organic salad. And if we have different gut biomes, nothing will survive in yours. Like something that's foreign is not going to survive. But if I have an unhealthy gut, it's going to survive and thrive in there. So something is feeding this. So for me, I went down like this detective path of what's feeding it. And I found two specific things that I was navigating. One was black mold, which we all can be around that. And two, I had a ruptured breast implant I didn't know about. So that was my thing. For somebody else, it could be their hairspray. It could be their skincare routine. There could be a lot of things. So it doesn't have to be as extreme as black mold or breast implant ruptured. But when you look at toxins, we cannot avoid all toxins. Like they are literally everywhere. They're in our makeup, they're in our skincare, they're outside, they're everywhere, toxins. But as we get older, that starts to compound and your body gets less strong at eliminating toxins. So when you're 30 and 40 and you're feeling amazing, you might be eliminating that stuff a lot quicker. As we get older, that is compounding and catching up to you. So just to say I'm all of a sudden going to stop being around toxins is not necessarily realistic. How do we get our bodies better at eliminating toxins even when we're younger? And we do that in a number of ways. I mean, I'll just rattle off a few, like dry brushing is one. Dry brushing is one.
I just did that yesterday.
Yep,
perfect.
Sauna is another one. Lymphatic drainage is another one. Even like in your face, like doing gua sha would be help with lymphatic drainage. So really being aware of your products so you don't overload. Like pick your poisons. Like I'm not going to stop coloring my hair or getting my nails done, but I'm very aware of what's going on in my skin and my makeup and all of that. So it's like you kind of pick your poisons there. And then you also, this is going to be maybe an unpopular opinion, but I'm pretty strict about an unprocessed natural food diet and not drinking alcohol because those things will overload your system and then there's no room to process out other toxins. So being really aware that this stuff compounds and you could feel totally on point at 30 and 40, but if you do not get your body in great working order with this, we're not going to age amazing.
Well, this is why I'm glad we're having the conversation now, because I'm 37 and I will do all the things that I need to get ahead of this. Yeah. And I think that a lot of the listeners that listen to this podcast, they're also tuning in because they feel the same way. So we're going straight to the source and you're going to give us all the information. So this is so good. So I want to ask you, because I'm interested, and I'm sure all the ladies are going to be, you talked about your skincare. What are some of like your go-to products that you use that are like clean and safe and you've already vetted?
Yes. Okay. First of all, I love our friend's oil. I love
Yep.
her oil. Katya loves oil. That's a great one that I definitely love to use on my face. My other little secrets that I add is I do a topical peptide. I think topical peptides are really important for our face. So I happen to use, right now, I'm using One Skin. That's the one that I like. There's a lot of different ones you can use. That's one that I particularly love. And it's just topical. You put it on. I do not personally right now use Retin-A or hydroquinone, I can't even pronounce it right, or any of that. And the reason is when I was going through my toxin load and detoxing, I had to pick and choose what I wanted. And
Right.
I'm really, really religious about getting lab work. And when I saw my liver numbers elevated, I did tie it back to some of my skincare there. So I removed all of that. I took that out. For a while, I was using estriol on my face, which is basically vaginal estrogen cream. Now your audience does not even know or care about that right now, but when we hit perimenopause and menopause, things change. so
Yeah.
so a
Yeah. Well,
vaginal
that's what I'm saying. Give
estrogen,
us all the info
yeah,
now.
it's one of those amazing things that helps down there and it doesn't get in your system. But we found that also putting it on your face, and they can actually compound it for your face, will help that. Now, if you're prone to melasma, it's not recommended. And I know, like with me, when I was using it, I liked how it was making my skin feel, but I did start getting a little melasma. So I stopped that. But the
Yeah.
peptides, good oil is really good. Also, really just letting your skin breathe. So this might sound simple and obvious, but don't go to bed with your makeup on. Don't like use
Yeah.
makeup wipes. Like don't
We're
do
not in
these
college
things.
anymore. You got to take the makeup off,
Yeah.
ladies.
You got to take it off every night, and you got to be really aware of that and letting your skin breathe. So I'm
Yeah.
not against makeup or any of that, but just really making sure you're careful. I do think less is more. I don't think we need a 50-step skincare routine at all. I think it's you
Yeah.
find what works
Nobody's
for
got time
you.
for that.
Right. But to me, peptides and a good oil is absolutely key. And just be really aware that even though Retin-A and hydroquinone or whatever can like make your skin look different, it's not necessarily healthy for your system. So,
Yeah.
and I've been very public about this, so I'm not hiding anything. When you age, no matter what, your skin is going to change. Like you, especially as you start dropping in your hormones. And I'm on HRT, and your skin still changes. After 50, it's different. So you get the changing, you might get fine lines, you might get the sagging, all of that. There's only so much you can truly do through the natural ways. Like you can totally obviously use great products and use a red light. You can do all of that, but you kind of have to pick your poison then and decide what is it you want to do. For me, I chose, like I just had my eyes done and I was very public about it. I had I had an upper and a lower bleph, and I have no shame around it. Like my eyelids were falling, they were drooping. I don't care how much I was going to gua sha or red light or pick good oils. That was not going to change that. So for me, I opted for a surgical procedure. And for me, I almost feel that's less invasive sometimes than
And you
applying
recovered
something every day.
amazing. I mean, I was watching on Instagram, and you were like sharing the days of like when you had it. And like, I mean, I feel like you recovered, at least from what I saw.
Yeah, I did. I recovered
really
6 days, which my surgeon had told me it would take about 3 weeks to be able to be on camera and to feel good. I was 6 days. And the reason I was 6 days is I believe all these other things I'm telling you about. Like I was, first of all, I went in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber every day when I had that. So that hyper helps healing. I also did something called BPC 157, which is a peptide, which you can get. Yep. And I inject that, and I injected it every day while I was recovering and leading up to it. So I was really religious about that. That also, I believe, has helped with inflammation in my body in general. So BPC 157. I also red light every day. Every morning I sit in front of the red light for at least 12 minutes. That's a big help with healing. I also use topical minerals. I think that all of our cells are mineral deficient. And so many times we focus on just like, what's the supplement I need to take, or what's the pill or whatever, but topical or minerals that you consume, we need those for our cells. So I'm a big fan of minerals. I actually use a ton of minerals for recovery, which helped a lot. So huge fan of that. Those are sort of the main things with that.
Amazing. Well, and the great news is that, we like you're sharing that with us now, so we can get ahead of it. I think that there was always at least, I think there wasn't a lot of information that we knew. It was like, okay, you're going to age, and here's a couple of things that you can do, but just like deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's and so your listeners don't hear a lot of this right now, but what starts happening after 40 is you start having these shifts. Perimenopause can be 10 years, right? So you start having these shifts, like I'm getting a little thicker in the middle, or it's just not as easy to release weight, or I'm just more tired or foggy headed. And any of those things, when you tell that to most doctors, they just are like, oh, it's perimenopause, it's your age. And they kind of
Right.
give like two solutions other than deal with it. They'll say antidepressants or birth control pills. And there's so much wrong with all that. Now, I'm not against antidepressants for people that truly need it for that. So not dismissing that, but to say that's what you need because you're aging is interesting
Yeah.
to me. And synthetic hormones are not helping us. They're made for birth control. But when you're leaning towards menopause and that's not the thing you're looking for, that's not what's supporting us. So then, you kind of go to that next layer as you're dropping hormones. Should you bring those up? And I have some strong opinions about that. Yes. And only if you're doing these other things. Because if you add HRT onto, I didn't look at my gut, I didn't clean up my diet, then you are just making a bigger problem. But when you actually can have a really well functioning diet, your gut's working well, you've cleaned up toxins, now HRT has an absolute amazing place and can help replenish and build things back up so you feel good again.
Yeah. And it's so crazy because you mentioned this, like toxins are in everything.
Everything.
So it's crazy that, I mean, I was talking to our friend this morning and I was like, she's coming out. I don't even know if I can say this, but she has like an oil that you can use instead of a perfume.
Okay.
And I was literally like, I have all these beautiful perfumes, but I don't use them anymore because I'm like, I know all the endocrine disrupting and hormone disrupting things that it does to my body. And I'm not willing to sacrifice smelling like a flower, to have it do all these things. So I'm looking for these other alternatives. The other thing that I want to mention is that—
And I do oils too. That's another huge one. Like scented candles and perfumes, throw them away. Like literally throw them away. They are totally destroying our health.
Yes. And so like, I don't know if you do this, but like the diffusers, I love doing, especially at night too, for like relaxing or like some lavender, eucalyptus.
Diffusers are amazing. And I've been definitely using scented oil. I've been using pure rose oil or I love the smell of rose. So pure, like actual real, not synthetic rose oil, like the real stuff, just a tiny drop will replace the perfume. But I used to love collecting perfumes and they are completely toxic. And I know people like when they hear you say something like toxic, they're like, oh, everything's toxic. Yes, everything is toxic. Got it. But it starts compounding. So you got to be picking and choosing, and your system, it's like, picture an air filter. Okay. If you have an air filter that's brand new, cleaning your air, but it's now 30 years old and you haven't changed the filter, what's it actually filtering?
Right.
Okay. Literally that's our bodies. I just want to be really clear. Like your body is aging. So your filter
every
system,
second,
your system of filtering is not the same as it was 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. So when you're getting older, that system changes. And this is really important to link because I'm telling you, women, especially approaching 50, they start saying everything is just perimenopause. Well, we're skipping this whole part here. And this is really critical to look at because you don't have the same system. And now you're just going to go say it's perimenopause. Like you got to go clean out that system. You got to really make sure. I call it age optimizing. There's so many age optimizing tools that we can do. And you start getting that filter working better. And then you don't have problems. And I'll say some other unpopular things, but that people won't love. But I had breast implants for 33 years. I had 5 sets. I was very defensive of them. Like, oh, they're safe. They're fine. They're not. Like if I showed you what my rupture looked like when it came out, and I had a gel that's not supposed to rupture, that was poisoning my body. It was literally, and that's why I believe I was open to parasites and all the other things. So when you have anything in your body that is foreign and doing that, you might not feel symptoms now. You might think for 33 years, I'm like, I feel great. This is stupid. Like people are crazy. No, now that they're gone, there's a totally different thing. Your body's not fighting with you. So do you go run and take them out? No, not necessarily. I'm not gonna tell people to do that, but you got to start paying attention. Like if you got to look at all things when you're not feeling yourself, and can you clean up that load? Like maybe I'm keeping my implants, but like where else could you get rid of some of the toxins?
Right. 100%. And I think that once we start, I know for me, once I started looking at these little areas, the makeup, the perfumes, the air, just the air purification, the water we're drinking, it's almost like you take it's like the red pill, blue pill, and you now realize how much of it is in your life. And you're like, whoa,
so much.
Like I can't unsee this because it's everywhere.
So you pick and choose. Like I know for sure I'm not going to not color my hair. So that's one of mine. Like I'm not going to go gray. Like I'm coloring my hair. When I was really cleaning up, I took my nails off. I was like super strict. Now I'm like, okay, nails, hair. those are staying. I'm not like, but yes, I'm neurotic about my water. It's always in a glass bottle and it's my own mineral water. Like I don't just go drink tap water. I don't drink even purified water. So it's really being aware of my water. I'm really aware of all the things, but I also want people listening to be really aware of how you're stacking things together and how it might not be helping you. For example, infrared sauna, amazing, but it's not amazing if you have breast implants in there. So just be aware, because what is it doing?
I didn't know
it's helping
that.
get toxins out. So you're also supporting. So you got to be, there's like these little things to be careful around there. Now, someone might get mad when I say that.
So what happens if you do it with implants?
Well, I'm looking for that picture to see if I have it here. I need to show you a picture of my.
I just did my sauna yesterday.
Yeah. So it's not sauna that's bad, but infrared specifically is, I love infrared sauna. And you can find research supporting anything you want, by the way. So please, listeners, do not start sending me research that it's safe with your implants. I don't care. I want to show you what my melted implant looks like. And I don't have the picture right here in front of me, but I'll make sure you have it to add in if you want to.
Yeah.
But my implant, literally gel implant that's not supposed to rupture, melted when they took it out. Now, I won't know what fully caused that, but I will tell you, I'm pretty certain the infrared did not help that. And I'm also pretty certain that the mammogram didn't help it. Like those two things together. So when I don't care what anyone, when you think about how an infrared sauna works, right? It's heating you from the inside out. It's getting rid of toxins. You've got a living toxin in your body, like what's seeping in. So I don't know. Again, I'm not a doctor. This is not my thing. This is stuff you asked me, like, what would you look at? I would look at these things. So when I see all my friends doing infrared sauna with implants in, I'm like, wait, this is like interesting. It's like canceling each other out to me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Now I think a regular sauna is a little different because it's coming from the outside, right? Okay. Also, and I think your age may not have these, Sandi, but my age definitely still had amalgam fillings. So just being aware, like that's mercury, so removing those. So it's just looking at all of these different variables and going, how do I reduce this toxic load here?
Yeah. I think also, again, just having the awareness behind it, because we're not going to change what we don't know. So just being aware that there's, pick one place and start. Pick the makeup, pick the beauty products, or like whatever areas that you want to start with, because then you can build on top of that.
Yes.
Okay. So my next question for you is, as we age, I think so many women are scared to pick up weights. Like they're scared that they're going to get so bulky, and they're scared that they're going to put on extra weights. I, for one, love weight training. Like it's actually my favorite thing to do. But what would you say to the women that have never picked up a weight before? Maybe they're just doing cardio. They're like these cardio queens, and they're so afraid. What do you have to say about that?
I'm so glad you just asked this, because I should have said this thing as the first thing. So yes, this is the number one most important critical thing. When you age, people say your metabolism slows down as you age. That's not actually what happens. What happens is, as you age, if you are not lifting weights and progressing, you lose muscle. When you lose muscle, less muscle you have, the slower your metabolism works at rest. So now your metabolism slows down. Also, when you lose muscle, you lose bone. When you lose bone, you get injured. You have issues there with bone loss. So how do we age well? The number one first thing is we have to add and retain muscle. Now, here's the kicker. You can't wait till you're 50 to do it. Can you add muscle at 50? Absolutely. It is a lot flipping harder. It is so much harder to add muscle at 50 than it is at 30. So gosh, if
ladies,
I could rewind,
pick up the weights now.
now, like do not wait, because not only visibly is this going to change our bodies, like have you look better and stronger and leaner and all the things, but it's going to help prevent bone loss, and it's going to help prevent injuries and pain, and it's going to help prevent a lot of problems later. So, I grew up in the 70s. So when I was a teenager and early 20s, it was really in to have the big boobs. We all got boob jobs. That was our thing. And no butt. We used to wear sweatshirts around our waist, Sandi. Like at the gym, everyone would tie a sweatshirt around their waist. They wanted to hide their butt. So we didn't train legs. That's not what we did. We did aerobics, we did cardio, and we did a little upper body, but we did not train lower body. So what's wild is I go to the gym now, and all the women in their early 20s, that booties are the thing. So, right. So they're all building these great, strong glutes, which is amazing because we didn't do that. So now what happens is women in their 40s and 50s trying so hard to build them, and it's a lot tougher because everything's changed for us. So we can do it, but we really have to force in the protein. We really have to progressive overload. And now you're dealing with injuries and other problems. So yeah, I would say to my younger self, get in there and lift heavy, do more, do not veer from that. That is so important, so critical.
Okay, so you just said something. You said if I were to tell my younger self something, this is what I would tell her. Do you have one or two other little nuggets or gems that you can share with us? Because I love that it's kind of like for the ladies that are listening now, you can, like, I know I'm going to take this information and I'm like, okay, check. Like these are the things I'm going to focus on. So in 5-10 years from now, like I can get a head start on all of this.
Yeah. Okay. So other than doing a handstand all day long, because that would change the gravity situation, one of the biggest things with aging. So if you look at like
get an inversion machine.
Yeah, like we're side by side. Even if you look at our faces right now, there's a difference. Like, so as we age, like when you're younger, you're wider on top and more narrow on the bottom. And that kind of changes as we age. This is a big thing that people don't realize about faces. And you can always tell somebody in their 30s versus 40s, 50s, 60s because of that. It's like the triangle. So you have the upside down triangle and it starts to change as we age. So I was kind of making a joke about that. So, but we can't fix that part. So
although I noticed when I look back on pictures of my 20s, my cheeks are like,
so as you age, like, so like your eyes will get smaller as you age and it gets like, so the triangle goes the other way. So that's when you look at someone that has a facelift, they're trying to fix that. They're trying to like, vertically. So there's lots of ways you can, but that's a big way to tell someone's true age is the shape of their face. Like that, you'll start noticing it now that I said it. And that really starts to change after 40. So, okay. So what would I do with that information and anything else? Number one, I would probably start doing a lot of gua sha to like help. I don't know how much it would help, but I would probably do that to keep trying to get that as a tight area. That's something I would do. I would be aware of that. I would also, can be controversial because yes, the sun is amazing for us in so many ways. And I love getting real sunlight in. I love real sun, but I wish I could take back all the years of tanning and doing that because
like the hours and hours and oils and
it's amazing for vitamin D. Got it. It's amazing for our cortisol. It's amazing for a lot of things, but it's not amazing for our skin. So I don't care what anyone says. My husband and I argue about this all the time. Like he still likes to lay out and tan. I'm like, the amount of money I've spent trying to remove brown spots and fine lines and like, and I've had 3 times skin cancer, 3 times. So I would say the sun. So wear a hat. I don't care if you look like Brooks. My husband always says, you look like you're in the rice paddies. Like,
well, it's so funny when I watch because so Natalie's you're in Arizona now.
Yeah.
But before you were in California, and I would look at you and I'd look at Natalia and Natalia's been on the show. So she's been a guest on the podcast and you guys wear these big brimmed hats and like all the cover up. So
always.
Yes.
So I would say, I would tell myself to protect your skin, not be tanning like that, unless you don't care about brown spots and wrinkles.
I mean, especially your face, like protect that.
Yes. I would absolutely be lifting weights heavier. That's for sure. I would be watching my toxic load now because it compounds. So I would say no to the antibiotics, like unless it's absolutely a must. I think that really destroys our health. Like I really do. I think that's a big, huge problem. And I can think of the amount of times something would be off and I'd be like, can I have a Z-Pack? Can I, like so many times. So I would erase all of that if I could. I would say I would definitely walk more than I am sitting because that also changes your hip flexors. It changes your lower back, all of that. So just, are you moving more and get ahead now? That's really, really critical. And, not just saying I'll deal with it later. That's the other big thing is like saying I'll deal with it when I'm older, or like I'll fix it later. It doesn't work that way. Like I used to remember thinking that like, oh, I can do this now. When I'm older, I'll just fix it. It's not as easy as people think. They're like, things change and it's not as easy.
And get ahead of it now. Like don't wait and let it compound, like get ahead of it.
Yes. Get ahead of it now. And then other than that, I mean, enjoy your life now because I remember being 35 and being so critical of myself and thinking that time goes so fast. So I wish I would appreciate more now where I was at every stage versus, wanting to just get through life. And then, cause then you look back and you're like, wait, how did that happen?
Yeah. Cause it goes so fast. Okay. So you asked me this on your podcast. I'm going to ask you this question on my podcast now.
Okay.
What would you say to the women that are running their businesses and trying to prioritize their health care and their self-care and all the things? Like, how do they fit it in in a world where they're so busy running on all cylinders, what advice would you tell them?
So a couple things. One, I would say get in touch with, I call it your driving core motivator. Like, what's the real reason you're living? Like, literally, that's a deep question, but what's the real reason you're living, and what do you want for your life? Like, reflect and think of that now, because what I knew for sure is I wanted to age well. I knew that I wanted to have energy and focus. I knew that in my 50s and 60s, I was going to want to be able to keep up with anyone. I didn't want to ever feel like I was declining. So I was very clear on that. So I was really in touch with my why. So for me, anytime I'd have a setback, like those injuries or whatever, it was kind of a reminder of why this is so critical, and a chance to go reflect and look. So one, get in touch with your driving core motivator there. Two, second, make it a non-negotiable. So I might need Sandi's advice on managing a lot of things in my life, like, and structuring my day. But one thing that's my non-negotiable is my routines around my health and taking care of myself and age optimizing. Like, my house looks like a biohacking center. I'm not going to lie. Like, when you look at, if you were at my house, you would know exactly what I value. Like, it's like literally like you walk in my house and I have like a huge red light room, like lots of red lights. I have infrared sauna. I have a cold plunge. I have everything in my house is like set up for that kind of life. I have a Carol bike, which is like everything is for optimizing. So it's like a non-negotiable to me, like walking, moving my body, working out. Like, even if I really truly don't have time in a day, there's some of those things that I'm getting in and figuring out. So I'm sitting here as I talk to you on my podcast desk, but my regular desk is a stand-up desk behind me. So I'm standing. So it's just making it really critical part of your life. Like, you can't avoid it. Like, my living room does not look like a living room. Literally, it's like a biohacking center. That's just that's how I've framed my life.
So for us, we also have like the cold plunge, the sauna, the gym in our house, and even down to like the water filters that we have, all of those. And again, like, I think if I were listening to this as someone that hasn't done any of this yet, I would pick one place and start. Pick one place. It's just like a workout. They're like, some of the ladies will say like, what workout's your favorite, or what's the best workout? And it's the one that you're going to do. So just start small. Pick one area and just start there,
So and movement, if I'm going to choose one, I'd say movement, like just walking, just even making sure you walk.
And it's free. You just get up and move.
Yep. Yeah. So you just get up and move.
Yes. And I think that we can all just get more of that in our daily movement. So I have like an Oura ring. I used to wear a Fitbit. I don't wear it. I really only wear my Oura ring at night to track my sleep. And by the way, I also have these like EMF rocks that go under my bed, so I don't get the radiation.
I have a whole situation in my room. It's embarrassing what I have. I don't care. I love that stuff. Like, I was literally like, I feel empowered when I have all that. And do I think all of that are secret weapons that are going to fix it? No, but it makes me feel good. So it's whatever. Yes. So I don't even think people need all this stuff. If you're committed to journaling and walking, getting sun every morning, like, there's things you can do. It's just what is going to empower you to feel like you're taking back and aging well, and put those things in your sight.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay. So now that we're talking more about your habits, what are like 2, maybe 3 at the most daily habits that you swear by for maintaining your optimal health?
Oh gosh, there's so many, but I'll start with like my basic main ones. Beam Minerals, that's the product, but I swear I'm obsessed with Beam Minerals. Now what's interesting is they are a sponsor of mine, but even if they weren't, I would still be talking about them and using them, because you literally feel it. I think that we learn a lot about supplements, but we don't learn enough about minerals specifically. And I think many of us are mineral deficient. So right there, that's one big daily hack, is that I'm constantly that. My second one is walking. Like, I make that's non-negotiable. Like, I'll put that before a workout, before anything. Like, if I have no time, if for anything else, I'm still going to walk. So I'm going to take a phone call if I walk, or whatever. I will find.
Oh, that's a good hack too. Take the call while you walk.
Most of my phone calls are like walking, or if I need to listen, like, even if I'm taking a course, like I'm in a course right now for a certification, and where everyone's sitting on Zoom listening, I'm not on camera, and I listen every time, but I'm walking. So I will habit hack my walk to make sure that gets in. So that's a definite daily hack. There's so many to choose from. I'll say blue light blocking would be the next one. I think people, that's another thing for, when you said, what can you do early? I don't think people realize how much artificial light is affecting us. And I don't even just mean cell phones and laptop and TV. I mean, just lights in our house. So when I look at the lights that we had in our 70s and 80s, they were amber lights and they weren't overhead. Now everybody has LED bright white daylights in their house. Like, I have 3 big ones staring at me as you're recording me right now. We are surrounded by this artificial LED light. All of that disrupts our cortisol and our melatonin. And that's a problem. And then you add in TV, laptop, phones. So I'm very structured about first thing in the morning, getting real sunlight, even if it's just a few minutes
Okay.
in my eyes. I don't wear sunglasses for that reason, unless I'm driving and really
I just
need
stopped
to.
doing that. I heard that as well. Just don't wear the sunglasses. And I have
Yeah.
blue eyes, so I feel like mine are very, very
That was my
sensitive.
husband. Yeah.
Yes.
But it'll
But I've
change
been
things.
trying
So
not to.
there's a place for sunglasses. Like if you like, I will have them if I'm driving. Like for safety reasons, I might have them,
Yeah.
right? But for
Yeah.
just my going for a walk, I've been very intentional with not wearing them anymore.
Yeah.
To get
And if
that
you have
in.
your big hat, then it's
Yes.
shading.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then at night, same thing. As soon as the sun is setting, stop getting that artificial light in. And if you're like, well, I want to watch TV or I need to work or my phone, then wear blue light blockers. So I wear Viva Rays, which is they have like sunset lenses and then evening lays. But I do all of that to make sure that I'm controlling how much blue light I'm getting in, which helps reset you to normal settings. So you actually
Yes.
produce melatonin at night and can wind down.
Do you have any red lights, like the actual bulbs in your house?
Yeah, we do. So there's different kinds of red lights. So I have the kind that I literally sit in front of to help me. And that helps your mitochondria health. There's a lot of reasons for that. So I absolutely sit in front first thing in the morning of my red light. That's the first thing I do for 12 minutes. The other thing is in our rooms now, instead of our regular nightstand lights, we have an actual red light bulb. So that's what we use in our house winding down. And we just started, this is like new for us too. Cause we're the ones that every house we're replacing with all the bright overhead white lights. But now I'm realizing what that does to our health.
Yes. It's so good. Again, I'm just seeing so much more about this. And I guess it's on social media because people are talking about it. They're more aware of it now. So it's so good that this is a part of more of a mainstream conversation than something that's hidden or that we just don't know about. Yeah, so good. Okay, so 2 more questions for you. You have built, and this is off of kind of the fat loss. This is more about you and your brand. You have built such an incredible business and brand. So I want to ask you, for the ladies that are listening that are just kind of in the beginning stages of building their brand, building their business, what is maybe one strategy or piece of advice that you can give them to start and engage and grow their audience?
Okay, this is going to be kind of unconventional, but I have built and rebuilt many times. And people are always like, how did you pivot? How did you do that? My biggest piece of advice is literally you have to just be yourself. You cannot try to emulate what someone else is doing or be somebody else or do what they're doing on social or do what they're doing with their program. You have to figure out, what are you great at? What do people love learning from you? And what's the problem that you solve? And then how do you want to help solve it? It literally has to be that personal. And just to give you an example, I've had my social media has done very well over the years. Maybe there's months where it's not as great but whatever. I've had lots of growth from social media. And what I've never done is copied what somebody else is doing. Not ever. I'm very much, how do I feel like getting this information out? What do I want to share? And what people tell me all the time is I'm very relatable because I'm just speaking how I want to speak. So I think what handicaps people sometimes from starting or growing a business is they get in a comparison mode that I have to do it the way Sandi did it, or I have to do it the way so-and-so did it, or I don't have the same background as so-and-so. But just start and give value. And the one thing I've said on stage many times, and I'll say it right now, is if we have information that can help somebody, that can solve a problem and can help somebody, and we don't share it, it makes us selfish.
Yeah.
Period. That's how you get out of your own head, because we're so worried about how are we going to look, or are we good enough? Or do I have enough stuff as so-and-so has, or can I do this as well? That's being a selfish conversation, because even if you can get your information out and help one person, why would you not do that?
Absolutely.
So that's my best advice, is you share what you're walking through. Now, I share flipping everything. My friends laugh at me. I literally, that's why, I shared my eye journey, literally every day. I was day 1, day 2, day, I share it all. I shared my explant. I share everything. That's me. Somebody might not want to do that, but that is my best advice, because the more I share, the more I grow, the more people trust, the more people come in, the more I grow my business.
Yeah. And you're sharing your story. So it's you can't, as long as you're showing up and being you and what you're saying, not trying to replicate and duplicate someone else.
Exactly.
You're literally just sharing what you're doing already.
Exactly. Yep.
Yes.
That's totally what I do. I'm curious and I teach what I'm learning, and that's how I share. So I don't have like a specific, like, could I teach somebody how to do a webinar that converts? Yes, of course I could. Could I teach you how to, like, I could teach you the tactical stuff, but my best advice is be yourself and start showing up.
Yes. So, so good. Natalie Jill, thank you so much for coming on the Slay Your Day
Thank you.
podcast. Where can everybody find you and connect with you?
Yeah, great question. So my podcast is Midlife Conversations, and all kinds of great information there. My website is nataliejill.com, and I'm on social media everywhere at Natalie Jill Fit.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the Slay Your Day podcast. Ladies, reach out to her with all of your questions. Go plug into her community. And as always, make sure you go out and slay your day.